In terms of tackling security, there is lack of political will.
Beyond the headlines,
who are the sponsors of insecurity in this country?
from breaking news to everyday conversations, this is where Nigeria's conversations begin. We track the issues shaping Nigeria and the world today. The world is talking, and we're listening. This is Trends on LJE News.
Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Trends on LJE News, where we bring you the latest and developing stories in Nigeria and of course across the globe. My name is Omotola Adeleke. I have my colleagues here in the studio. Judith, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Good morning. Good
How
morning,
was your
everybody.
weekend?
It was really good.
All right, so we also have Esther here. Esther, hope you're good.
Very well, thank you.
Hope you had a great weekend too.
Sure did.
Of course, of course. All right, so don't forget you can be a part of our growing online community by hitting that follow, like, share, and subscribe button right now on all platforms at LJE News. Let's quickly run through our headlines for this edition of Trends. APC clinches 5 of 6 FCT Area Councils as PDP takes Gwagwalada. PDP inaugurates legal team for FCT election petitions. INEC to review 2027 election timetable following new Electoral Act. World Bank set to approve $500 million agriculture loan for Nigeria. Resident protest abduction of couple in Akure community. Now to the lead story. The All Progressives Congress APC secured 5 of the 6 chairmanship seats in the 2026 Federal Capital Territory Area Council Elections, leaving the People's Democratic Party PDP with 1 victory. Result released by the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC on Sunday showed APC wins in Abuja Municipal Area Council Amak, Abaji, Wari, Kwali, and even Kuje, while the PDP claimed Gwagwalada. In Gwagwalada, PDP's Mohammed Kashim polled 22,165 votes to defeat APC's Yahaya Shehu, who secured 17,788. APC's Joshua Ishaku won Buhari with 18,466 votes, while Christopher Mekalangu, who was re-elected in Amak with 40,295 votes. Umar Abdullahi Abubakar triumphed in Abaji. Nuhu Daniel claimed Kwali, and Denjuma Shekwolo secured victory in Kuje. Consolidating APC's dominance across the FCT councils, the EFCC also arrested 20 over electoral fraud in FCT council polls, recovers over 20 million naira. Meanwhile, Lagos APC said FCT Kano Rivers victory is a referendum on Tinubu presidency. Judith, first of all, let me ask you, did you witness the election, the FCT local government council election?
No, unfortunately, I didn't.
But you heard stuffs about the election.
Yeah,
so
I
what
heard
do you
stuff.
think about the election?
Well, I really don't know what to think because I didn't go out.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I don't have first-hand experience. So everything I know is just things I heard from people.
So what are those things that you heard? What are the second-hand voices?
there are reports of heavy malpractice in the elections. There are people saying they saw the form E8 for the used in the election. EC8 rather, sorry, used in the elections, and then they are saying that another candidate actually won, and then the INEC has declared another person as the winner. There are reports of this person being given the win when somebody else won, just things like that.
Were there specific places, specific councils that experienced some of these things that you just stated?
I heard something about Kuje.
Okay.
That a particular polling unit didn't allow more than 14 people to come in and vote. So it's just hearsay, basically. I really don't know, so I can't say much about it.
So would you say this election was a credible one, if you were to say?
No, obviously not. I mean, there are people coming out to say, people that as much as I didn't experience it, there are other people that experienced these things, that they are coming out to say that that it didn't go very well and it was not free and fair in any way. I can't discredit them when they experienced it themselves and they've said it happened that way.
Okay, Esther, what are your thoughts about the election? You know, were you there in some polling units? What are your exact thoughts about this election?
Okay, so I wasn't there physically.
Okay.
But just like Judy said, I got to hear some, should I say, informations. I don't know how truthful they are. I don't know what their basis and all of that. But for me, if you ask me personally, I don't think it was credible, because why is it that out of the 6 local government areas, just one that was
And you
left
don't
to
think
the
that's
PDP?
possible? That
No, I
at least
don't.
someone from the opposition party won? You
Nah.
don't think it's possible?
Nah. If you ask me, there were a lot of manipulations in the election. I also got to hear about, because I saw some of the forms online, like I'm talking about that of, I think it's AMAC for ADC. I think I saw a few forms, and clearly the votes were higher than that of APC.
Okay.
That for the forms I saw online, I don't know how true they are. I don't know where they came from. I don't know their units. But for the forms I saw online, that of AMAC was clearly more than, that of ADC was clearly more than that of APC. So if you ask me, there were so many manipulations.
But before now, did you ever think the election was going to be a credible, transparent one?
No.
Why?
Because that's what Nigeria has always turned out to be. Regardless of how we push for a fair election, they still manipulate it. Because how do you mean that APC is ruling in all 6 local government areas? And if you ask me, I feel like the PDP was more of, because I think the winner is kind of friends with the FCT minister, Wike. So I think there is something going on there. I think they just let him have it, that, oh, okay, just have this one.
So you're saying the grassroots popularity did not play a major role here. It was just influence from
It
politicians and all.
was basically influence. If they allowed the election to be free and fair, if you ask me, some of these people that won wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to be there.
All right, Judith, the both of you are now saying the elections were not credible. Am I right?
Yes.
Now that you're saying the elections are not credible, does this show how 2027 elections is going to be?
I mean, obviously, before these elections, the FCT minister came out to say he would only back those supporting the APC. I mean, he had said something like that, that he would only the people supporting the president right now would have his support, and he would ensure that they win. And we've seen it play out in these elections that were just done on Saturday. So the 2027 elections, with the entire amendment bill, the Electoral Act amendment bill, and everything, it's obviously not going to be credible at all.
All right, Esther, I was going through social media, and I, was going through some, social media posts and all that, some update and all that. Now, I saw lots of people saying something like this, that Wike knows how to play politics and all that. So, in your honest idea, what is your ideology of knowing how to play politics as it regards this election? Because, of course, we saw Wike going to different polling units, which is legally not even a bad thing, of course. He has that freedom of movement. He's a federal capital territory minister, so he's allowed to want to supervise and see what's happening and all that. But we saw messages, we saw controversial stuffs, we saw some hilarious things, of course, too, and we also saw people on social media saying Wike knows how to play politics. What do you think knowing how to play politics in this term mean?
If you ask me, I would interpret knowing how to play politics as being rooted into, so many shenanigans, knowing how to play dirty.
So you're saying Wike knows how to play dirty? Is that what you're saying?
That is how I interpret knowing how to play politics as, because Wike, as I know him to be, is a core ruthless politician. So he would do anything, clear anyone to get what he wants.
So what do you think the residents of the FCT should have done to override some of this?
What would they have done differently? They came out to vote. There were even restricted numbers in some polling units, because just like Judy said, I also heard something like that, where they snatched ballot boxes, stopped people from voting, released tear gases and all of that, just to make sure that the amount of people they want to vote had already voted and they've gone with it. So what would they have done differently?
So you don't think 2027 might be a different case entirely? You think these things might actually happen?
It will still
because we've seen protests, we've seen people come out to say angry stuff. Some people have said, no, the 2027 election is not gonna be business as usual.
Fingers crossed, honestly. I just hope it's not business as usual, because if you ask me, the way it's going, it's still going to repeat the same circle.
Now, let me ask this direct question, Judith, before we move on to the next story. With the victories in the FCT, APC taking the lead, The victories in River State, the by-elections in River State, APC taking the lead. Kano State, of course, APC taking the lead. Do you think this is a done deal for the president himself for 2027 elections?
Yes, actually, because with the way these elections, these other elections are going, it's obviously going to be this way in the 2027 elections.
Okay, let's move on to the next story. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has set up a special legal team to handle petitions arising from the February 21, 2026 Area Council Elections in the Federal Capital Territory. The party also congratulated its chairmanship and councillorship candidate who emerged victorious. Elections were conducted across Abaji, Amak, Buhari, Gwagwalada, Kuje, and Kwali. Result released by the Independent National Electoral Commission showed the All Progressives Congress APC won Abaji, Kwali, Amak, and Buhari, while the PDP secured victory in Gwagwalada. The party said its legal team would ensure due process in addressing all electoral dispute. Esther, do you think the PDP at this point, from some statement, from some past statements from people, especially when it has to do with the judiciary, do you think the judiciary can actually grant or give victory to who victory is due?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you think PDP is not wasting its time at this point, especially with the petitions, trying to say, okay, we want this election here, we want this here, some electoral malpractices happen here and there. So you think the judiciary will do the needful when it comes to election petitions, especially, again, from the antecedent of how the judiciary handle cases like this?
I don't think there've ever been a recorded case of, it's going the way we expect it to be. So they'll just, I don't know, but I just hope it works out for them, because if you ask me, nah.
Judith, do you think this is a waste of time for the PDP?
Honestly,
time and resources, of course.
Yes, actually, I think it is, because in the past elections, the past presidential election, we saw Mr. Peter Obi taking the APC to court and trying to contest the elections, and we saw how that played out. Eventually, the APC still stayed in power. In Enugu State too, the LP candidate too took the present governor to court after the elections. We also saw how that played out. So I think really at this point, the PDP should, I don't know, just give it a rest, because given the past records, nothing would be done for them.
But if they don't challenge these victories, what would you say about them? Do you think people will still be confident, in them? Do you think people will still feel like, hey, I still need to support the PDP? Because if you're there and you just allow things unchallenged, it probably might mean you're weak.
I mean, at this point, does the PDP even have any supporters anymore? Because right now, it's literally just the APC and some other parties, some other popular parties that are heard. We've seen many governors defecting from the PDP to the APC. So at this point, do they even really have anything to fight for?
All right, PDP has nothing to fight for, says Judith. Okay, let's see how it goes in time to come. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced plans to review its 2027 election timetable to align with the newly enacted Electoral Act 2026. Chief Press Secretary to the chairman, Mr. Adedayo Oketola, said a revised schedule will be released to ensure compliance with the amended law. The National Assembly recently reduced the mandatory notice period for elections from 360 to 300 days, compelling adjustment to earlier date fixed for February and March 2027 polls. Legal experts, including senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, insist a fresh timetable is legally required, warning that failure to realign could trigger pre-election litigation and undermine electoral certainty. Esther, has this exposed, INEC's poor planning? Has this, exposed a level of political influence, in INEC? You already brought out a timetable, and now you're saying you want to review the timetable. What's happening?
Of course, it's political influence. Who appointed the INEC chairman? Who appointed people working around? it's the incumbent party. So since they were not so comfortable, because I remember the last time it came, it tallied with the Ramadan and all of that. So if they feel like they're not comfortable with the timetable they brought out, they'll definitely make them to, try to review it. There was one time Mr. Chidi called them the Dependent Electoral Commission. I don't think they have the capacity to make decisions on their own without involving, the presidential council.
And which is not supposed to be
exactly.
So. But do you think the Ramadan actually plays a role in this review, Judith?
Honestly, I think yes, that the religious uproar that came up the other time and political influence too is actually playing a major role in this right now. Because I mean, you are supposed to be independent, which means you work without the influence of anybody. Then you come up with a timetable. Certain people say no, this does not work for us, and then you are saying you would review when you are supposed to be independent and take decisions on your own. So I think definitely.
So what does this say about INEC's credibility?
Honestly, it says they are not credible. They are just, I don't know, they are now taking orders. It shows they are now taking orders from people instead of relying on the independence they are supposed to have.
Okay. The World Bank is poised to approve a fresh $500 million loan to Nigeria on March 30, 2026, aimed at boosting agricultural productivity and strengthening key value chains. The project, fully financed through a $500 million credit from the International Development Association, will be implemented by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security alongside participating states. Designed to improve smallholder productivity, attract private investment, and enhance food security. The facility targets competitive value chains and modernized production systems. However, the loan comes amid rising debt concerns. Data from the Debt Management Office showed Nigeria's external debt stood at $46.98 billion as of June 2025, with $19.39 billion owed to the World Bank Group. Judith, looking at the way our government have been managing loans, monies that have been borrowed and all that, do you think we actually invest these monies in productivity now? Because the news is stating clearly they're trying to make sure productivity grows, agriculture and all that. But do you think our government, of course, borrowing is not a bad thing. Every government borrows. The United States borrows. Every country borrows. But what's most important is what you use this borrowed money for, right? Yeah. And of course, people would appreciate it more if it's for productivity. But do you think our government have been using these monies, these excessive monies, for productivity?
Well, this I've seen some programs set up by the government to aid productivity. I've seen I think one is called CVET, and there are several others actually where they are supposed to empower people with
in fact, we have
money.
Several agricultural empowerment programs where soft loans are given to farmers and all that.
But then these programs, when they are put in place, we see that it is only very few people that come out to testify to having gotten anything. Some people, like the TVET thing, I have a friend that is currently in the program, and she said that they've not been paid since, I think, last year or several months ago. They've not gotten any money, and they're supposed to be empowered with these monies to, help themselves and all of that. So I think these monies are not really put into what they said.
So where is the money going to? What do you think the money is going to?
Obviously, because we are not seeing the money being put into anything. So obviously, they are keeping it for themselves.
Well, how do the government borrow money from international organizations and then put it in their pocket? You're borrowing to put it in your pocket. It sounds absurd.
Only the government can answer that, actually, because I'm talking from things I've seen. We are saying that these things are not happening. They say they are borrowing money to empower farmers. You go to a random farmer in the village, just pick a random state, go there and meet 100 farmers. Maybe out of 100, only 5 that were opportune to hear about it would get the money. The remaining will be confused. They don't know what you're talking about. So these monies don't actually get to the people they are supposed to get to. So what then are they doing with the money if not putting it for keeping it for themselves?
All right. Esther, Couple of times, a lot of people have mentioned issues concerning the removal of fuel subsidy, especially when the president or the presidency had come out to say, we've saved a lot of money from fuel subsidy net. If that is the case, if we've been able to save plenty money, lots of money, from the removal of fuel subsidy, then why do we still have that need to borrow, to take loans from international communities?
Okay, this is going to be very tricky because, I mean, even with or without the removal of fuel subsidy, the government still tends to borrow. The borrowing, like you said, is not the problem. The problem is actually financing this money that you've borrowed to something productive. Now, why would you borrow? And even if you want to use it for programs and whatnot, you don't even make it visible to the people. Let us at least say, if you pick a random Nigerian and say, oh, have the government done something to benefit you? The answer you get, most of them, is no. Because I don't think the government is trying anything positive to actually influence the betterment of Nigerians in the whole.
But if you say this, from I've one way or the other, I've been involved with, some individuals in diaspora when they get to, make assessment, try to check accountability level, try to check the kind of plans you have before you're being given money. You understand? And I believe these are the things some of these big international entities do. If they have plans, if they have list of some of these things the government said have been done with the former or with the previous loans that have been given to them, then why would they still give them money if they probably see that these things are not being implemented, if they probably see a level of unaccountability in what previous monies have been used for? Then why still give them more money? Why do you think international entities still get to give the federal government of Nigeria more money if the previous ones are not being used for what they're supposed to be used for?
Honestly, I don't really know why they keep. I don't know if it's some form of, I don't know what to call it, because it's actually, now you ask the question, actually a thing to actually think about, because you know for a fact that they're not giving account of what they used the previous loan for. So why would they come back to you and ask for more and you still give them? If you ask me, I think maybe there's a form of beneficiary. They're getting something that I don't know what it is, if you ask me.
But Judith, you said it. You said these monies go into their private pockets. Are you saying these international communities don't know these monies are going into their private pocket?
Like I said, only very few people actually get to partake in the money. So what I think is happening is those few people that took part, of course, they would call them together. Okay, all right, come. Then they would present those ones to the international bodies. Okay, these are the people we've helped. And
but don't you think the international community should be smart enough to know that, no, the money we gave to you is too much for these few people?
Honestly, I think, like Esther said, there has to be something they are getting in return for them to keep giving money when they know that, or when they can see or cannot see that what they are giving money for is not being used. The monies are not being used for what they are giving for.
All right. We'll need to take a short break right now, and when we return, we'll bring you the latest on some other stories. So stay with us and keep sharing this stream. Don't forget, you can follow, like, share, and of course, subscribe on our social media platforms at LJE News. My name still remains Omotola Adeleke. We will be right back.
As a people and members of LJE Green Community, we share a deeper commitment to protect not only our environment, but also the rights and dignity of all individuals within our reach. Every day, we are faced with responsibility to uphold human dignity. If you see something happening around you, do not turn blind eye. We must act, because that's where our role as ambassadors come in. Being an ambassador doesn't require any superpower. It requires awareness, compassion, and the willingness to speak up. If you see something, say something. It's our duty to stand up for justice and amplify the voices of those who can't speak for themselves. One voice can spark a movement, and together we can create a nation that values human life. You can reach us on 070-5236-8821 or visit our website at www.ljenigeria.org to report a violation. Remember, if you see something, say something.
Welcome back, and don't forget, it still trends on LJE News. Let's quickly, touch some other stories making trends in Nigeria. Residents of Eleyewo in Akure, under Akure North local government area, on Saturday staged a protest over the abduction of Jamil Olawale and his wife by suspected bandits. The couple were kidnapped Friday night after returning home, while a neighbor, Patrick Ilumaro, sustained a gunshot injury and is receiving treatment. Angry youth blocked the Akure Expressway for hours, demanding swift security action before police restore traffic. Family sources disclosed that the kidnappers demanded 80 million naira ransom, 40 million naira each for the victims. Police spokesperson Abayomi Jimoh confirmed the 9:45 p.m. attack, stating the gunmen emerged from nearby bush and whisked the couple to an unknown destination as investigations continue. Judith, I was going through some posts and someone said insecurity to a certain level is reducing in Nigeria. Do you think that's true?
Insecurity?
Like, it's not as much as it used to be before.
I mean, you could say it to an extent, because we used to hear of bandits attacks killing multiple people
on a daily basis.
But recently, it's reduced to a significant level. But then we've just heard that people were kidnapped from their homes and their neighbor was shot or something like that. So is it really reducing, or are they just laying low for now? How do we know they will not come back and get worse?
Or probably they are re-strategizing.
Exactly, because what exactly was done to stop it? We didn't see any reforms or any active steps put in place to stop it entirely.
You don't think military operations have improved so far?
I feel like in this country, when things like that are done, they are televised, they are announced for people to know that, oh, this is happening and all of that. But we've not heard anything like that. We've not seen anything like that. So honestly, I think the bandits are probably just re-strategizing or waiting for information or orders from their higher ups, actually, at this point.
Esther, 80 million naira. 80 million naira ransom, to secure the release of this couple, of course. 40 million naira each of them. Why do you think kidnapping is becoming more lucrative? I wouldn't want to call it a business because, of course, it's not a business. It's a criminal activity. It's inhumane. It's something that should not be done. But why do you think it's becoming more lucrative? 80 million naira for two people.
It's because the government is not doing enough or doing anything rather to put an end to it.
Okay, and that's the reason why they come out fearless and just do whatever they like.
Yes, exactly, because they feel like, who is coming after me? You do this thing, they plan this act, they plan their moves, and once they execute them clearly and smoothly, there is no repercussion. Nobody goes into the thick forest to search for their hideouts. Nobody goes into their houses. If you go, there's forensic, there are so many. If you go to places like US, I don't think kidnap is even a thing, because before you say Jack, they found you. There's CCTV camera on the roads. There's
an amber alert is sent.
Exactly. So why do you think they are getting in their numbers? It's because they keep getting away whenever.
Or probably no one goes after them.
Exactly, that's what I said. Nobody goes after. There's no repercussion. There is no law. There is nobody chasing. Once you just strike and you have your victim, that's it. Exactly. You're on the safe side.
As soon as the victims are released, it's like the government or the
everybody
security
relaxes.
Just relaxes. Okay, the victim is released. Okay, praise the Lord, though. And then
you don't go after the currency. You don't go, because they request for cash. There is a way you can give them cash, and the numbers on this currency you go after. They don't go. They don't do any form of
it even looks like the government are more interested in negotiating with these people rather than even securing the release.
There is really no form of law. There is no push for them to stop. There is nothing they are scared of. They're not scared of anything.
Talking about the security situation in Nigeria compared to how we used to be some couple weeks ago, from what I asked Judith, do you think it's improving?
Nah, if you ask me, I would use the word re-strategizing. Maybe they're lacking amenities, that they're lacking maybe ammunitions, and they're waiting for reimbursements from their sponsors. But I mean, reducing from where? Why would they stop? What has been put in place for them to be scared of? What has been put in place for them to retreat? Nothing. So they are actually waiting for ammunitions to re-strategize.
All right. Of course, that's it for today's edition of Trends on LJE News. Many thanks to Judith. Judith, thank you very much for your opinions, of course.
Thank you.
For your contributions, Esther, we appreciate you.
Thank you, always.
All right. So to our viewers and listeners out there, make sure to follow, like, share, and subscribe at LJE News on all social media platforms to stay in the loop and join the conversation ahead of our next show. My name is Omotola Adeleke. See you next time. Bye for now.